the power of X-ray searching and efficient Boolean. I am also known as Aquaman, aka Aquaman. You call me Chris, call me Aquaman. Don't call me Christopher. That's how I can tell who is related to me and who is not. Those that are related, call me Christopher. Um, please call me Chris or Aquaman. I will answer to both. But we are here to talk about X-ray searching, the power that it holds in a world of emerging technologies, and why it still has a seat at the table that very much needs to be considered. We are also going to talk about some emerging AI technologies and why Boolean is important as we consider those. But let's get this ball rolling. Oh, jump too far, jump too far. Here's a little intro about me. For those of you that have not had the opportunity to hear me speak yet, um, this is a passion I have of sharing with the community, talking to others. A couple years ago, I was bestowed the moniker Aquaman. I loved it. I ran with it. My kids, who are pictured on the screen, absolutely love that their dad's a superhero. As you can see behind me, I have the trident on the wall. So when they tell their friends at school that their dad is Aquaman, their kids doubt them. They invite them over. They see the trident, and they are in total belief that I am Aquaman. No, I am not Jason Momoa, but I love the branding here and the opportunity to be a sourcing superhero. Um, just a couple pictures here to further introduce myself. The first one in the top center is me at the Great Wall of China. I love to travel. I've traveled internationally now a handful of times. I've traveled across the United States. I moved across the United States a couple years ago. So much fun exploring new places. So if you ever want to connect about interesting places, let me know. I'm always looking for another adventure. The one below that is me shooting a bow and arrow. I like archery, but more importantly, I'm a hobbyist. I learned that probably means I have some level of ADD because I pick up a new hobby every year, and I hyperfixate for about 12 months, and then I put it down and generally don't touch it a whole lot again. Sourcing is great for me in that aspect because I pick up a role, I work on it really hard for a week, a couple weeks, set it down, let my drip campaign that Dan was talking about run as I pick up a new role and am able to hyperfixate. So I'm a hobbyist, likely with some undiagnosed ADD. Last is Quasimodo, down there in the bottom right. My favorite Disney movie is The Hunchback of Notre Dame. If you have not seen it, shame on you. Go watch it. It's phenomenal. If you have seen it, the reason I like that is because it is such a different story than the book. Always is, but it tells such a great story of people who are inherently good with some people who are inherently bad, and it tries to paint this picture of the world being black and white. But what we realize is that the world is never as we appear or what we assume things to be. And so I always tried to take things as an intent that people are showing up as their best selves. People have good intent, and every opportunity to connect and to interact is underlined with that good intention of a human connecting with a human. The last picture that I have to highlight is in the top right. That is my family. That picture is a little old now, so I probably could have picked a different one, but I love the picture. That's my beautiful wife and my two kids. They are my world. I do everything I can to make sure that they live comfortably and happily and can chase their own dreams. And so that's my why. That's how I got to where I am and why I find so much joy in what I do. So let's talk about this. What is Boolean? Boolean, by definition, is of, relating to, or being a logical combinatorial system that represents symbolically relationships between entities. That's from Merriam-Webster Dictionary. We know that as word math. If you excelled in algebra in school, kudos to you. This translates really well to Boolean. If you did not excel at algebra, we can still help you learn, and this is going to be something to add to your tool belt. A lot of people think when you're sourcing, we're dropping in, we're clicking filters. Most recruiters, most sourcers have access to LinkedIn Recruiter. Not my favorite tool by any means, and I'm very quick to talk about that. But algebra and word math is all that Boolean is. Think of your variables as and, or, and not. I've got a Venn diagram here to illustrate that and what that looks like. But if you're saying and, you're getting restrictive. You're saying term A and term B, right? Handsome and tall have to occur together, right? Or means any combination of them can. You're being permissive. It could be A or B or A and B, right? It does not have to be one way or the other. So as you're building your searches and you're thinking like, well, my hiring manager says that we could, and people talk like this. They said, oh, well, we could use this tool or this tool or this tool to do the job. Well, there's your or statement. They've already laid it out for you. Now you can put it together in a single statement. And not is being restrictive, right? Here's our fundamental Boolean um, basics. This is what you have to know to start building a search before you start getting into some of the really cool stuff. Not saying this cannot occur at all, period. And so you're getting restrictive. So as you start formulating a search and you're putting stuff together with your hiring manager, start thinking of this in mathematical equations, but with words, and it starts to follow a natural logic that can create repetitive, consistent, and valuable results in your search efforts. So the next natural question is, where can I use Boolean? I've got a handful of logos here. The short answer is you can realistically use it anywhere that you want. But some of the places that you're going to find candidates in particular is LinkedIn. You've got Seek Out and HireEasy, which are phenomenal recruiting tools. Google and Bing are some of my favorite search platforms to find people, and I'll show a little bit of why that is. If you have access to the Indeed resume database, or if you want to go dive into Zoom Info, if you have that paid platform, all of these platforms support Boolean logic. If you go shopping on Amazon, Amazon supports Boolean logic. You can also search Amazon and find what you're looking for without having to interact with their user interface inside of their application. You can look for it in Google using Boolean logic. So all of this can be practiced. You can build muscle memory in real life applications so that as you start looking for candidates, you are more refined, more tactical, and you can be precise in where you're looking. But the bottom line is that if you're practicing Boolean searches, you can take it to any platform and it's going to translate really nicely. The caveat is that recruiting platforms are going to have additional tools or additional resources to help enhance your search capabilities by leveraging additional what I would call our operators or functions. Those things are going to then tell specific parts of search engines to look in different locations. But that being said, practice it. Go blow people's minds when your parents are saying, sibling, friend is saying, "Hey, I need to find something like this as a gift," or "Have you thought about some kind of an activity that can do this?" Go into Google, start dropping your terms in Boolean logic. You say, "Hey, I could do." I can travel. It could be in Texas or Oklahoma or Louisiana, and I need to have some kind of nightlife, some fun bars and live music, and it'll start to pull things together for you. So go nuts, have fun with it, and practice Boolean. Eat it for breakfast. So the next question is, what is X-ray searching, right? If I can use Boolean on any platform, what does X-ray search mean? What does that mean? That means that we're fundamentally using public search engines such as Google or Bing. Others have created custom search engines that are phenomenal to use as well, to examine data on a website without searching within the platform. So I want to use a specific example here before I dive into the example on the screen. For those that were fortunate enough to attend either physically or virtually SourceCon in mid-April last month, one of the hackathon questions was about finding a review of a book on its first edition. I ran through this question and I talked with some others, and people were running into issues because as they were searching on Amazon for this book, because there was a second edition, Amazon was prioritizing this. But I didn't go into Amazon to look for it. I was shopping on Amazon in Google, and was putting in the specific review keywords, the book that I was looking for, and telling Google to look at Amazon for me, and it returned. I was looking at data in Amazon's platform without ever being in Amazon, and it allowed me to find the necessary information really quickly because of that X-ray logic. So here's an example of what an X-ray search will look like. I utilize a software called Brackets to write a lot of my Boolean. It's a text editor, so you're going to see numbered lines. If I copy all, the numbers aren't popping back up. So that's what the numbers are there. It's also really easy to reference when we're talking about things. But the first thing that you're going to have to do is utilize a site command. different. When you go to Google or you go to Bing and you want to start an X-ray search, you're going to have to tell it where to look. And so that, for simplicity's sake, we're going to utilize LinkedIn. If you don't have a LinkedIn Recruiter, LinkedIn Lite or Recruiter Lite seat, this is like using LinkedIn Recruiter without having to pay for the platform. Just don't tell them because they're going to continue to try and put obstacles on our way. But we can still utilize it. So site:/linkedin.com/in. That /in is important if you're looking on LinkedIn because that's saying I want to look at profiles. On line 3, you're going to see in title :sales and in title :rep or exec. A couple things I want to highlight here is you have to keep those in title pieces simple. In title does not like to nest if you're trying to create complex search strings. So you have to break it down into single statements. Just to clarify, in title does not mean I'm looking for people with this current job title. I'm looking at web page titles. Thankfully, LinkedIn publishes your personal LinkedIn page as your name, your position, and the company that you work for. So if I tell Google or Bing, I say, hey, in title :sales, it's going to look for people that are sales representatives or sales executives. You'll also notice I was intentionally lazy at the end of that string with leaving it as rep and exec. I'm allowing for natural stemming is the term that I'm going to use here. And it's when your search engine is going to autocomplete a word. It's one of my favorite tactics. If you use HireEasy or Seekout, a lot of people will use an asterisk to autocomplete that. You can also use that with Google. It just operates a little differently. We're not going to dive too much into that because that could dive me into a rabbit hole, but allowing for natural stemming for autocompletion, variations, spelling errors, things like that to come back. I'm now saying in the search with line 1 and line 3 that I'm looking at, I want to look at LinkedIn profiles with a job title of sales and representative or executive. Line 5, you're going to see United States. That is in quotations because it's 2 words. I need that phrase to return. So it's in quotations, which tells my search engine, keep that as one term. That is variable X, United States, around 10 connections. I utilize the connections as my anchor. Every LinkedIn profile is going to have connections, how many connections someone has. So by creating a proximity of 10 words or fewer tied to the United States, I will find people that are United States based, that are sales representatives or executives on LinkedIn. On the contrast, I could also do site:/www.linkedin because country domain codes are a great way to utilize this, and www is the United States' specific domain code. But line 7, I'm now putting in my keywords, right? Let's say I'm looking for a sales representative, sales executive, and I work for a SaaS company. I'm trying to find people. Maybe I work for HireEasy or Seekout, right? And I'm trying to find a sales representative to come and sell these companies my recruiting software. And I want to find someone that has experience selling software as a service, selling softwares to companies. And so I'm going to look for the keyword of SaaS or software as a service. Again, you're going to see software as a service put into quotations because I'm looking for that phrasing if they don't have it listed as SaaS. And the last thing, maybe I want to find someone that excels. They're really good at sales. They're top performer. I'm going to look for President's Club. This is one way to do it. There are lots of different approaches, but for this example, I'm looking for someone who's a top performer that they've listed on their LinkedIn profile, that they have attained President's Club. They were a top seller for at least 1 year at some point in their career. And it's going to help me filter out those that don't have that listed or more guarded of their information. These are going to be the people that I can send those personalized messages that Dan was talking about and saying, hey, saw you hit President's Club in 2022 with this company. I'd love to chat with you about that, an opportunity to come and hit President's Club here with us, right? So this is an example of an X-ray search. I've typed up in a separate document. All I would do then is copy this, and I'm pasting it in my Google or Bing search bar. You're going to get different results between the two, just slightly, but you are going to get different results. And you're also going to get different results approaching a search this way than you would if you were searching inside the platform of LinkedIn, HireEasy, Seekout, etc. Take your pick, but you should be utilizing multiple platforms in searching for your candidates. Don't put all your eggs into one basket because if that basket breaks, you're going to run into problems. Okay, so that's our example. The results. This is an example of searches we can see. So you can see on the top image screenshot there is the search that we had just built. I had 14 1,400, almost 1,500 search results of people that sold SaaS products at some point in their career. They're currently a sales representative or executive living in the United States, and they've attained the President's Club. Really straightforward search. I've got now almost 1,500 people that I can start to sift through. I can refine my search further. The other is an example of a search that I was running on Bing for a role that I have at BECU, who is my current employer. I was running this search and had about 427 individuals. So I was running a data check against some information I had using one of my other recruiting platforms. And of this 427 people, I had a lot of matches of people that I'm currently reaching out to for a role that I'm working on that were different than what my recruiting platform was able to provide. So this is just an example of why X-ray searching is still so important and still so powerful. Hire Easy, seek out your other recruiting platforms. Their data is indexed, and so while you're going to have very valuable data, you're going to have access to contact information. It's not always current. And if you've used the platforms, you know that. And it's to no fault of theirs. LinkedIn has so many records. There's no way we could expect them to be 100% current all the time. But that being said, I might be missing out on information that would meet my search criteria if that profile had been indexed and was current. Right. So here that's an example of why we should be utilizing it. The next slide is one of my favorite. So moving out of LinkedIn, I've got two screenshots here, again typed up in brackets, and I've got to give credit where credit is due. The four jobs, which we're going to talk about in a minute, a lot of this was put together by Steve Levy in a single post, and I made sure I saved a rough draft for myself so that if I need to start searching for jobs or help people find jobs, I've got a baseline for how these are formatted. So Uncle Steve, super shout out to you. You're an amazing person for sharing this publicly on LinkedIn. I know it's personally helped a lot of people. Um, we're going to start with the for people box here. So this is an example of different places you can go to find people, right? To find candidates. I can look at github.com, github.io. I can look at Doximity for medical professionals. I can look at Zoom Info. This is a data aggregation site that tries to sell you company information. I don't want to pay for the platform, so I'm going to look for it via X-Ray, and then I can do my own sleuthing to put together contact information. A general site asterisk.com/resume to look for people that have built personal websites and they've listed their resume online, right? Looking at meetup.com, we heard that earlier, drone flying for software engineers. Well, who would have thought that that's where you might be able to find your next hire? Well, if I'm looking at meetup.com and I'm finding people that have mutual interests, that's a great connection opportunity for me to reach out in a drip campaign and say, hey, I was looking at meetup groups in this area. I saw you are a part of this meetup group. I would love to hear more about that. Or reach out to them and say, hey, I would love to sponsor a meetup night. Can I buy pizzas for your group? Right? That one is a long-term investment, but you can find people, right? Reddit. I don't know if Erin Matthew is on this call, but she is the queen of sourcing on Reddit. Great place to find people, and if you've never explored the wilds of Reddit, it's crazy. It's another one that you have to invest in. It's not a short-term gain that I'm going to go in there, pull a bunch of people and message them. You're going to have to invest in some relationship nurturing. But think long term, it can be a great success and an opportunity to build community. Okay. So that's moving out of LinkedIn. These are all the places that you don't have a LinkedIn recruiter platform to find them, but I might want to try and find them and contact them because of the content and quality available information that is out there. And then for jobs, hopefully this has been up on the screen long enough. I'm happy to send this out. Again, Steve Levy has shared this publicly. But if you're looking for jobs and you want to do so at scale, scrape it, keep it in a spreadsheet so that you can add your notes, you can provide your own updates in a single like ad hoc CRM for yourself. This is a great way to start looking for jobs that are going to be applicable to you, right? So there's that information and the power of X-ray. Last, looking forward, 20 minutes is going by fast, guys. I'm running out of time. So, looking to the future, in a world of emerging AI technology, we heard Steve earlier talk about that, Steve Jewell. and that the landscape is changing. People are having to learn new tools. It doesn't matter if you're aged or not aged, right? We're all in the same boat together, having to learn emerging technologies that are dramatically changing our landscape. How are we going to effectively learn these things? This is why I'm a big proponent of X-ray searching and Boolean. It teaches cleanliness in your search. It teaches precision and intention with every single piece that is in your search. And the last is it builds good data hygiene. As you're starting to put together searches, you're starting to put together Boolean strings, you're saving all of that information. You're teaching yourself healthy data hygiene so that as you start to take on these AI tools, whether it's Chat GPT or if you're using Seekout's AI Assist, you're using AI within LinkedIn, which I don't recommend. Their AI messaging is terrible. But if you're using AI, you can start to learn how to prompt cleanly. You can start to learn how to inject data and get it returned in a way that is valuable. I've got a wonderful coworker. Her name is Debbie, who she utilizes Recruiter GPT to rewrite our job ads and has taught my team how to do this. And she iterates on her prompts so frequently, but they produce consistently clean results for us to be able to draft our job ads, make the tweaks that we need to, and get it out there. It's a huge time saver. But a lot of the mentality is that clean data hygiene and the ability to adapt and to iterate. And that's all Boolean searching is taking your search, what worked, what didn't, how do I improve? And that is my 20-minute presentation. I went just a little bit over. So, Dan, we're going to send it back to you, but I would love to connect. I host a free monthly webinar. My next one is on Thursday, but it's generally about the last of the month. But I host a free monthly webinar where we talk about Boolean, we talk about sourcing, we talk about how to engage. We've had messaging conversations, how to have hiring manager intakes. It's a great time. I never charge. There's always a recording that is available afterwards. So if you want to be a part of that, make sure you follow or connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm trying to get them uploaded to YouTube. So if you want to subscribe there, you'll see it. It's free storage for me, but I'm slowly getting there. All in all, that is my presentation today.